This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, last time we did some for loop and do while loop, right? I also showed you how to create a, you can have multiple classes in a namespace. I created a class called do while, and I also showed you how to create a function, example function with the do while part. Okay. I hope you have got the video. So let's move forward. There's one more loop statement that is for each loop. We'll cover that and then move ahead to your arrays. So in this, I'll create a new project or add a new project to it. So we'll call this as for each. Okay, that is the name by which the namespace gets created, and by that name the project also gets created. So I will just rename the project. This will be session number 9. Let me get the startup project first. Okay, so you can see namespace name is same. Your project name is session 9. 1 minute, guys. Okay, so the class name is program. Right now, by default, it is the class name, and the C# file name is also program. You can change the C# file name and the class name. We'll see that later on. So let's go to the for each loop. Now, what is the usage of the for each loop? I'll tell you first. For each loop can be used for arrays and for collections. This is what you can use for. You can't use the for each loop for the purpose of typing 1 to 10 or 1 to 11, 1 to 20, nothing of that sort. If you basically want to find out the uh, number of characters or data present in an array, or number of collections in an array, you want to find out those kind of behaviors, that is where you can use the for each loop. Now, another I have taken collection, neither I have taken array. Collection is part of your dynamic data structure. And arrays basically I have not taken, which is the next agenda. But still, this for each loop comes as part of the loop statement. I will show you, try to make you understand. So the for each loop would be used for the purpose of uh, can be used for arrays and collections. So it will actually, what it will do is, I can say this is a point number 1, and I can say point number 2 would be a for each loop would be used to iterate over arrays or collection. Iterate over the data present in array, present in arrays collection. Okay, so automatically the for each loop will iterate automatically for each loop iterate as number of times times as the number of data in an array or collection. So, for example, the array contains 10 data. For it to obviously iterate for 10 times. So write down output that, for example, if an array contains 10 data, automatically the for each loop will run 10 times. And remember one particular thing, each time it iterates as part of related with fault number 2. But each time it iterates, for each loop iterate, the result of each iteration is kept in a variable. So you will see that. So how many times it will iterate? Number of times or the number of data in array or collection. So there are 10 data in an array. The for each loop will iterate automatically 10 times. Each time it iterates, the result of each iteration is kept in a variable. This is a point of reference for you to understand what is for it. Now, the syntactical rule I will define it down. In syntax, so we have a for each, okay, and then you have the mm, variable with data type and in the array or, and then you have a body. So here we use the for each loop. What I can write down the in keyword is for another working pair is same. So there is a variable with the data type. So let's say in this array or collection there are 10 data. So for each loop will run 10 times. And each time it runs, the data will be kept in this will be the body part of the body. Define. I will declare the array. How do you declare the array? I will show you. And then we will take let's declare array. We'll declare a single dimensional array. So this is an integer array. So integer. So let's declare a character. Declare this array. So there is integer array. This is how an array is declared. Now, arrays are considered as even classes of C chat. That is create either an object of the array and declare the size of it, or you can declare the syntax of this. These array declaration syntax will be here. Right. Array said this is the array. Now, this contains how is array different from a variable? That is the first question. Array can hold multiple data. Single variable A holds multiple data. How it is declared different from the array variable? Just remember that. A simple variable can only hold one data. An array variable can hold multiple data. So variable A is an array variable. It is holding multiple data. How many data is holding? 5 data. Okay. We'll see an example that I would like to, the for each loop can be used for either for arrays or collections, right? So I will iterate over this array variable A and print out the data inside this array. That is what I will do. So what I can do is that I will use a for each loop. Okay, then you have a parenthesis and then you have a body column. You have to declare the variable into the type. So what is the variable? Variable is integer. I'll call this a variable D. And I have to use the in keyword. This is the in keyword. In the array variable A. So what is going to happen? Remember that this for each loop will iterate 5 times. The for each loop will iterate automatically 5 times. 5 times. As the number of data in array variable A is 5. 5 data. That is nothing but these are the 5 data that you can see 10, 20, 30. Okay. So obviously the for each loop will iterate 5 times. Each time it iterates, the data will be kept in variable P. So for example, first time it iterates, first time the for each loop iterate, the value of the array variable the value of 10 in the array variable will be kept in variable B. The second time it iterates, the value of 10 present in the array variable will be kept in variable B. Third time it iterates, the value of 30 will be kept in variable fourth time it iterates the value of 40 milliseconds will be. Fifth time it iterates the value of 50 milliseconds will be, and it will only iterate 5 times. So there are 5. And then I can basically use console.writeline. And, that is it, and call the variable p out. Understand this? Use the main method, I can use control F5. Okay. Build is also still happening. So values are 10, 20, 30, 40. That is what I said. Values are just use space. So this is, let's say I call it a program number one. Let's have a different program. There's a shortcut for console.write. What is shortcut? CW. After that, I can use the value of it. Oh, fine. Anyway, I'll see if there's a shortcut available. Oops. So class dot like that. You are differentiator, differentiate the results of first program, the second program. So the program number two. If I ask you to do a program, find out, check if the numbers are even or off. Now let's say I give you that you have to find this. You can do this with for loop. You can do this with while. You can do this with while. I tell you to use the for. So let's do that. I have to put the numbers in an array because for each loop will only support arrays of collection. So either I have to put it to array or put it to a collection. So I'll create a list. List is part of the collection. List. Uh, so potential fixes list has to overload. With the class call list, I change it to file list or change it to linked list. Create a linked list. Now, generally, what we do is that we use like something like this. Integer, let's say a is equal to 10. Right? Instead of this, a is already list 1 is equal to 10. Now, since it is .NET, instead of defining the data type, you can define it with the keyword var list, or list. Now, here I am declaring the data type for this variable. So, based on the data type, the value is declared. Okay. So here we are declaring the data type as int. So value has to be declared as an integer value. And that is basically a rule if we use the data type. That is, we can say as a rule, because you have declared it as data type int, the value should be integer value. Now here I have not declared the data type for the list variable. I have not declared the value. The red underline is coming because I have not defined the value of this list. Now, what kind of value the list variable we will take? I will write down particular thing. I can terminate it out here. Okay. But if I terminate it, it will tell me implicitly type variable must be initialized. Okay. Now, if I terminate it like this, it will tell you please define the value. We got to define the value. Value. If the keyword var is used, you can use the keyword var. Now, if you are declaring it with the data type, for example, int list, then I can have a terminator set. It will not have any problem. And then I can declare the list is equal to 20. That's fine. Here we can declare the value later. As the compiler knows, what does the compiler know? The variables data type. Now, if you look out here, here also the compiler knows the value, the variables data type. Here the compiler. So here we got to define the value with the keyword var. Here the compiler does not know the data type for the variable. So here the compiler does not know what is the data type of the variable. So it is compulsory that when you declare the variable list2 with the var keyword, you have to initialize the value. Okay. So we got to define the value of the keyword var because the compiler does not know what is the data type of the variable. Now, how will the compiler know? The next question is that how will the compiler know the value of the data type of variable list 2? So how will the compiler know? I will write down the answer of it when we declare the value of variable. So you can declare a variable with the var keyword, but ensure to declare its value. Otherwise, the compiler will not know which particular data in the list belongs. So comment it. I'll use var list2 again. It is important to declare the value 10. Now the compiler knows to which particular data type list is equal to 10. Okay. Now, for example, I want to see what is the class to which list2 belongs to. Correct. So, what is the data type of this? Okay. So, I'll use console. Console.writeLine. And there's a method called type. Type of list. Type main method. So if you look at in C#, all methods are having the first letter as capital. So type capital. So non-evocable member type not be used. Uh, so to understand that class. Type. Type class. So, so type to which list you, so which class, which type to which type is class, then philosophy. So I have to use the type classes or get type. You get the type of list to it. Actually, it should print out, so I have to use calculator.python. Um, let's do dot get the type. This should be it. Okay. Let's run this controller. If you look at it, it belongs to int32 class. That is what I wanted to show you. So, now what is the meaning of this? The meaning of this is very simple. When you declare the data type, compiler knows. So you can declare the value later on. You can declare variables with the var keyword. Now the compiler does not know to which particular type or to which particular class object the list2 is being done. This is nothing but this is now list2 becomes list2 is now a reference variable pinpointing towards the object of the object int32 class. Okay. So the moment you give the value as 10, immediately since you have used the keyword var, list2 becomes the reference variable. And reference variable always pinpoints towards the object. And this is the object of int32 class. So when you want to say to which class list2 variable, to which object the list2 variable is pinpointing, get type method directly you can use. And that is why you see that in the console, you will see that it's showing you it belongs to the int32 class of this system package. This is the package name, followed by the class name. Okay, now if I change the value of it, okay, if I change the value of it, for example, if I change, I can have any value right now. It is not that it has to be customary that the list2 variable will always keep a integer value. As I told you, it is customary to when you define the variable with the var keyword, customary to define the value of it. Define the value as high. Now list2 is not pinpointing towards the object of the int32 class. Now list2 is pinpointing as a reference variable, pinpointing to the object of the string class. Just require the same command. You understand it. So it pinpoints towards the object of which class? Of the string class. That is the behavior of the var keyword used for variable. Now here, since you have declared the value a variable as integer data type variable, you have to hold only now integer value. Now for var keyword, the value declaration is not compulsory. The moment you declare the value, then only the compiler knows, oh, this is a list2 reference variable pinpointing towards the object of the string class. 10. Now before I go, so check if the numbers are even and odd. So I will basically have a let's have a number. I'll keep the number, let's say, in a last time I kept the integer data. Numbers in integer data. And call this as B. And let me keep the numbers. So 10, 11, 13, 14, 140, 15, whatever it is. Now to find out which is a odd and an even. So let's run this. We have to use a for each loop. And how many times this will iterate? This will iterate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. So there are 6 data in the array variable. And the data are integer types. I have to pass an integer variable C in B. Now, if I print out C, the first value will be 10. But I don't have to print out C because it will iterate 6 times. Each time it will give the value of 10, 11, 12, 13, 141. I have to say that C, which is holding the iterated value, okay, is an even and odd number. So how to find out even and odd number for the if condition? So what is the if condition? Now please remember, even numbers can be divided by 2, and the division will give you the remainder as 0. So I'll use a modulus sign out here. C percentage 2 is equal to 0 now, equality. So this will give you the remainder after division. So 10 divided by 2. The value of C in the first iteration is 10. 10 divided by 2 is 5. Is the quotient, remainder is 0. 0 is equal to 0. You can print out. Sorry. So what right? That C plus starting with using else. If it is not a even number, definitely else block will come into existence. Else what will happen? That C is an odd number. That means the remainder is not 0 after division. If the remainder is not 0 per division, it's an odd number. Okay. So this will iterate 6 times and will let me know it is an even or odd number. Now instead of this integer, I can use bar out here. I can still use bar out here. Now the for each cannot convert var into integer. Okay. This should be also var. What's it? This has to be declared. So when you declare array variables, it's always when you see a let underline out. The constructual keyword var may also appear within the local variable or in the script. Var b is used somewhere. Yeah, it is used out here. I can't use it. So let it be C holding the one. And let this be D. D in C. Here it is D. And also I think this to D. And this to D. And still it is not working. The construct keyword var may also appear in may also appear in local variable. I can make this as possible because now what is the data type? What is B now pinpointing to towards the object of the int value? This 10 value will come out. Have int value. And then int can be divided by 2. It's a number that will be divided by 2. So this control of right. So 10 is a even, 11 is an odd, 12 is an even, 13 is an odd, 141 is an odd, 5 is an odd. That's how you get it. And look at what more program of body. That program will be pertaining to collection. So, character. Uh, uh, a couple of programs you can see out there for connection. I don't want to go too much deep into connection at this point of time. One of the behaviors is mm, list collection. Declare it out here. Uh, and the summation of these numbers. This is summation of numbers we have seen. The same thing. So pass this to the new file. That's also not possible. Let's create a file list with the interface and you can't get an object of the interface. Still, the collection file list of 34. Okay, lot. Let's create an object. Initialize a new instance of the list class that is empty as a default initial class. Okay, so it's a list of integers. No, you can add how this is to be defined. So I'll tell you. This is basically a mm, you create an object. This is a by the new keyword you are creating an object of the list. This is a list of integers. Because why it is a list of integers? Because if you look at the values in the list, these are the values inside or data inside the list. The list is part of a list mm, is part of the list class. Is part of uh, dynamic data structure. So this is coming to tell you something about it. It's part of dynamic data structure, or in other words, are called as collections also. Collections is a term used for Java. But dynamic data structure is so this list class implements it will implement the iList interface. So interfaces in C sharp which are exclusive to you as a child. Some exclusive genetic structures which are specific to you, which is not you have inherited from the parent. So a class can inherit another class, but a class cannot inherit an interface. A class will always implement an interface. Now, what is the interface? It's like a rule book. If you want to use the interface, you have to follow the rules. For example, America, it has its own rules of law. As an Indian, I cannot go out here and try to follow the laws of the Indian land in America. You will be behind bars. So similarly, an interface is a rule book. There are terms and conditions defined in the rule book. As an interface, that is what it means. So if a class wants to use the interface or rather implements the interface, it has to follow the rules. So remember, classes will always implement a interface. So there's an interface called iList interface, which is implemented by the list class. Not only list class implements the iList interface, other classes also implement the iList interface. The other classes are linked list class or sorted list class. They also implement the iList interface. Okay. Now here I'm creating an object. With the new keyword, I'm creating an object of the list class. Now, what is this list? This list, the below list is a list of numbers. Or I can say it is a collection of numbers. Since it is a collection, what kind of number? Number can be an integer 32 number can be a long, number can be a double, number can be a float, number can be decimal. So what is this list? The list of integer number in 32 class. So I would say that it basically these are numbers belonging to which particular type. Numbers of what type? Type is a keyword used for class. It's a list of int 32 class. Remember one thing, that dynamic data structure supports object type only. Object type is also called as system type or strongly type. Now, what is this object type or system type or strongly type? The word which is object. How do you create objects? You create objects of a class. Objects are nothing but instances of the class. The object type, the keyword comes from the class level. You create an object of the class. That means this is nothing but a class. That's why I said that dynamic data structure supports object type or strongly type or system type. If you consider array, I'm using the int keyword. Int is a primitive type. So array will support primitive data type as well as object type. But as far as dynamic data structure, it only supports, only I will write down, only supports object type. So this is a list of numbers. Okay, I can make it as a list of double also. List of double, and double variable value declaration can be a number which will not have the decimal part. It may have the decimal part, it may not have. So I can keep 5.0 also. Okay, that's fine. I hope my audio is back. Audio went. Because I'm taking from mobile from Delhi, that is why it is, might happen. I hope I'm audible now. Okay. Am I audible? Okay. So let's now the list of double values. The double values can be declared in with a decimal part or without the decimal part. Let's say it's a list of decimal. I'm using the decimal class. You remember, if it is a system type, the first letter should be in capital. I cannot make it the list of int with a small I. Int is basically a primitive type. It is not allowed for dynamic data structure. The dynamic data structure only allows a collection which is of object type. That is why int 32. Okay, I can have it as a list of strings also. If it is a list of strings, I have to put the values within double quotes. And these values also should be in double quotes. That is the list of strings. Okay. Now this is a list filled with numbers right now. So let's say I'll call it a list of numbers. It's an integer. So I have to use the int 32 system type. Then I have to remove this double quotes. Otherwise I'll get the red underline from 5.0. It's a number right now. Okay. Now remember one particular, and since the list of int 32 class, I have to remove the decimal part. Now let's say I don't define this part. I remove this part. Still it is accepted. Why? Now this is an empty list. Empty list. Why? This list does not contain any data. So this is an empty list, right? Remember. Okay. If I start keeping data, now this list contains data, but this is not an empty list right now. It's a list of int 32. It's a list of integers. And remember, list is part of a dynamic data structure. It supports only object type. Now, how many data it has? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 data. Now I want to do a summation of these numbers present in the list. So I have to use the for each loop. Now int summation. Now when you do not add these numbers, the initial value will be 0, and that is kept to a variable sum. And this sum will also keep the summed up value. So when you start adding 5 plus minus 8, the summed up value will be kept in the variable sum. Now I will use a for each loop. How many times it will iterate? Number of times are the number of data in the list. So if you understand it, it's a list of integers. The resultant value will be also an integer. So the data are of integer type. So that is why each time it iterates, the data of 5 will be kept in the number variable. Okay. Let's say I call this as E. Data 5 will be kept. First time it iterates, it will be kept in the E variable. Second time it iterates, minus 8 will be kept in E variable. Third time it iterates, the minus 3 will be kept in E variable. And 3 in integer E in, I'll call this as bar. I will call this as E. And integer F in E. That will be better for you to understand. Okay, that means var E is nothing but a list. It's pinpointing towards it's a var keyword used. So E is pinpointing, it's a reference variable, pinpointing towards the object of the list class right now. How do I know that? You can do console.write. And when you run this, what will I use? I will basically call E dot get the type. Get the type. So this will tell me it belongs, E is pinpointing towards the object of the list class. That's fine. This will tell you. Now, each time iterates. So how many times the for each loop will iterate? 6 times. Each time it iterates, the value of 5 will be kept in the variable f. And then what will I do? I'll have to basically do nothing. The sum plus equal to number is nothing but sum is equal to sum plus f. That is what. So 5 will be added plus 0. So for the first loop, it will be 5, value of sum. For the second loop, minus it is kept to a variable f. What is the value of sum? 5 plus minus 8. 5 plus minus 8 is minus 3. So for the second loop running, the value of sum is minus 3. Then minus 3 plus 3. Minus 3 plus 3 is 0. Third loop, it will run, the value is 0. Fourth loop, 0 plus 14. 14 for the fourth loop. And then for the fifth, 1, 2, 3, 4. For the fifth loop, 14 plus 9. 14 plus 9 is 23. For the sixth loop, 23 plus 17 equal to 40. For the next loop, 40 plus 0, again 40. For this last loop, the value of 4 is kept to the variable f. So 40 plus 4 is 44. So when you print out the summation, so this is nothing but again string interpolation. This is nothing but indexing given. So the first index number start with 0. Okay, this is the indexing. This is called string interpolation. Okay, I will show you separately. Otherwise, you will get confused. I write down the final summation value is plus sum. So the final summation value that I should get is nothing but the value of 44. So let's run this. Save it file. So final summation value is 44. That is why I expected. Now I told you to which class this particular variable belongs to. E. Use the get type method, and which class belongs to the list class. It's a list of integer type. Okay, and this list class belongs to which packet? System.collections.generate. And since you have used that particular list class, which belongs to system.collection.generate, which you have used out here, this has got activated. It was graded like this. This has got activated now. Now these are not used. I can remove this. Actually, only these two packages are used. One package of system, the console.writeline is part of the system package, and this class belongs to this particular package. So these are used, so those are getting activated. The others were deactivated, upgraded. So this is the use of for each loop in dynamic data structure. So as I have told you that for each loop would be used only for variables which are of array variables or variables which are belong to dynamic data structure. That is the first thing that we do. It can be used for variables which are of array variable or variables which are belonging to dynamic data structure. So collection is another keyword used for dynamic data. And that is why I have shown an example with array within the for each loop. Again an array with the for each loop, and again another example with the list collection of the list dynamic data. Okay. Now, the next portion is your arrays. I know that a lot of people will be confused about the arrays part. A lot of people will be confused about the dynamic data structure because this is part of your advanced level, definitely. Okay. So I will take these parts separate. Okay. Now, I would basically like to finish up today the short session of 1.5 hours today. Okay. Because since I have come for a medical emergency to complete it today at this point of time. Tomorrow, when we have the class, it will be for a longer. Tomorrow, I will by today night I will be back to Bangalore. Tomorrow, the class will be at the institute. Okay. Any questions? As far as the codes are concerned, I will send the codes which are not there with you, and I also show you the at the end. Any questions you guys have, you can ask me. So that completes your for the loop statements. Next is I will go to arrays first because arrays concept has come. Go to arrays and then follow the business functions. So Lakshmi, Hemalata, Nisarga, Prachi, you have any questions to be asked? I don't know if Azhar had joined.
No, Kaushik, I don't have any questions.
Kaushik, I have a question. It's regarding variable keyword. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, Kaushik, so I just wanted to understand when do we basically use variable keyword? Or
The var
what
keyword,
exactly do you mean by variable keyword? Is it like the generic data type?
yeah, it's a generic data type. The var keyword is used to define the generic data type. So when you use the var keyword, it is compulsory to define its value. So based on the value, the compiler will understand that this is pinpointing to which particular class object. So var is basically used for defining a variable with a generic data type.
So
Am I
it can
clear?
take both, yeah, so it can take both object data type also or the primitive data type also, right? I mean, can use anything.
If you look at it will take look at the value of it. I put 10 out here. When I had put 10, it is
Mm-hmm.
pinpointed to int 32. That is nothing but a object type.
Okay,
So that means var generic is used for a generic data type, definitely, but
right.
pinpoints always towards an object, not towards a primitive.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any more questions, Prati and anybody else?
No, I'm good.
Okay. So tomorrow's session will be at the institute. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
ಎಷ್ಟು ವರ್ಷ ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ